He hadn't seen her in years, until he walked into a barbershop and found her cutting hair. What he did next left everyone speechless. The city streets buzzed with life as Nathan Blackwell, billionaire CEO of Blackwell Industries, stepped out of his luxury car. Dressed in a tailored suit, he adjusted his cufflinks and glanced at the small barbershop on the corner. It wasn't the high-end kind of place he usually went to, but something about it caught his eye. He had been walking by when the name on the window stopped him in his tracks. Lena's Cuts. His pulse quickened. Lena? Could it be the same Lena? His best friend from college. The girl he once swore he'd always look out for. They had lost touch after graduation. He had gone on to build his business empire while she had disappeared from his life. Now, was she really working here? Curiosity and something deeper pulled him inside. The soft chime of the bell rang as he stepped in. The place was small, cozy, nothing extravagant. A few customers sat waiting, and the sound of clippers hummed in the background. And then he saw her. Lena. Her hair was tied back, her apron slightly worn, and she was focused as she trimmed a customer's hair. Nathan's breath caught. She looked different, yet exactly the same. Before he could say a word, she turned and froze. Their eyes met. Shock flashed across her face. "Nathan," she whispered. A slow smile spread across his lips. "Long time, Lena." She blinked, still gripping her scissors. What are you doing here?" Nathan chuckled. "I could ask you the same thing." But deep inside, as he looked around the tiny shop, a question burned in his mind. How did she end up here? And more importantly, what was he going to do about it? Lena stared at Nathan, her hands gripping the scissors tightly. She hadn't seen him in years. The last time they spoke, he had big dreams, and clearly he had achieved them. The expensive suit, the confident posture, the way the entire shop seemed to shift in his presence. He was a completely different man. She swallowed hard, forcing a smile. "You need a haircut?" Nathan smirked. "Something like that." Lena gestured to the chair. "Take a seat." As he sat down, she draped the cape around his shoulders, her hands slightly shaky. This wasn't just any customer. This was Nathan Blackwell, her Nathan. As she worked, Nathan studied her through the mirror. She was still the same Lena, strong, focused, determined. But something in her eyes looked tired. After a moment, he finally asked, "So, how did you end up here?" Lena let out a soft chuckle. "Life, I guess." Nathan raised an eyebrow. "That's not an answer." She sighed, trimming the edges of his hair. "After college, I tried." She sighed, trimming the edges of his hair. "After college, I tried to start my own business. A beauty salon, actually." Nathan's eyebrows lifted in surprise. "You always wanted that." Lena nodded, her voice quieter now. "Yeah, but things didn't go as planned." She hesitated, as if debating whether to continue. But then she sighed. "I took out loans, partnered with the wrong people. I trusted someone who ran off with the money, leaving me drowning in debt. I lost everything, Nathan." Nathan's jaw tightened. Lena was one of the smartest, most hard-working people he had ever known. And yet life had knocked her down. She should have been running her own empire, not standing here, struggling to make ends meet in a small barbershop. She forced a smile. "But hey, at least I'm still cutting hair." Nathan looked around the shop, noticing the faded paint, the outdated chairs, the tired look on Lena's face. This wasn't where she was meant to be. He made a decision right then and there. As she finished the last snip, she dusted off his shoulders. "There, all done." Nathan glanced in the mirror, then turned to face her. "How much do I owe you?" Lena waved a hand. "Come on, it's on the house. Consider it a reunion gift." Nathan smirked. "Generous, but I'm going to pay you back in a different way." She frowned. What do you mean? He leaned forward slightly. Lena, you don't belong here. You were meant to run something bigger than this. She blinked, caught off guard. Nathan, He pulled out a sleek black business card and placed it on the counter. Meet me for lunch tomorrow. I have a proposal for you. Lena stared at the card, then back at him. Nathan, I can't just... He smiled. Just show up. Let me handle the rest. And with that, he stood, straightened his suit, and walked out the door, leaving Lena standing there speechless. What just happened? And more importantly, what was he planning? The next day. Lena sat in the upscale restaurant, nervously tapping her fingers against the table. This was a completely different world from the one she had gotten used to. She adjusted her simple blazer, feeling out of place among the polished business executives around her. What was she even doing here? Before she could spiral any further, Nathan walked in. Effortlessly confident, he strode toward her, dressed in another expensive suit, radiating power. It was still hard to believe this was the same guy she used to pull all-nighters with in college. He grinned as he took a seat. You came. She smirked. Would have been rude not to. A waiter arrived, placing a menu in front of her. But Nathan didn't even glance at his. Let's get straight to it. He leaned forward, his voice calm but firm. Lena, I want to invest in you. Lena froze. What? Nathan placed a folder on the table and slid it toward her. I want you to open your own salon. Properly this time. No bad partnerships, no debt. Just you, running things the way you always wanted. Lena stared at the folder, then back at him. Nathan, I can't accept this. He raised an eyebrow. Why not? She let out a breath. Because I don't want charity. Nathan chuckled, shaking his head. This isn't charity, Lena. This is business. She frowned. Business? He nodded. You have talent. You have drive. You just didn't have the right support. That's where I come in. He gestured to the folder. That's a full investment plan. You'll have full ownership, full creative control. I just provide the startup capital and guidance. Lena hesitated. It sounded too good to be true. She searched his face for any sign of pity, but there was none. He wasn't doing this to save her. He was doing this because he believed in her. Her throat tightened. Why are you doing this for me? Nathan's voice softened. Because you were always meant for more, Lena, and I refuse to sit back and watch you struggle when I can help you succeed. Silence stretched between them. Then, slowly, Lena reached for the folder, and as she flipped through the pages, a new feeling bloomed inside her. Hope. Maybe, just maybe, her story wasn't over yet. 6 months later, Lena stood outside the grand opening of her very own salon, Lena's Luxe studio. The sleek, modern storefront gleamed under the city lights, the name shining in elegant gold lettering. This wasn't just a barbershop, it was a high-end beauty salon, exactly the kind she had always dreamed of owning. And it was all real. She took a deep breath, barely believing it. 6 months ago, she was struggling to make ends meet. Now, she was the owner of a luxury salon in one of the best locations in the city. A familiar voice pulled her from her thoughts. Not bad, Mitchell. Not bad at all. She turned to see Nathan standing beside her, smirking. Lena chuckled. I still can't believe you did this for me. Nathan shook his head. Correction. You did this for you. I just gave you the push you needed. She exhaled, glancing around. Customers were already filing in, cameras flashing as local press covered the event. Some of her former barbershop co-workers stood on the sidelines, watching in awe. She had made it. A waitress passed by, offering champagne, and Nathan grabbed 2 glasses, handing her one. He raised his glass. To second chances. Lena smirked, clinking her glass against his. To real friends. As she took her first sip, she knew This wasn't just a salon. It was proof that she had never been meant to stay small, and with Nathan by her side, her journey was only just beginning.